ties, but don't yet have the ability to take them. If you allow yourself to let that be okay, in time, you simply find yourself starting to take those opportunities that life presents to you. However, if you beat yourself up for not taking opportunities, this sequence is disrupted. Beating yourself up for not taking opportunities just makes it harder to see and take them in the future. People who train group facilitators know that this is true. At first, students may have no idea at all about how to lead a certain type of process in a group. They simply watch in awe as other people lead. In time, they start to understand how to lead, but they don't quite know the process well enough to step out and actually lead. They watch from the sidelines, full of good ideas about how they would lead a process, but not quite ready to take charge themselves. If they allow this to happen without beating up on themselves, in time they simply notice that they are stepping out and leading. And nothing special needs to happen for that to occur. If they beat themselves up, however, they stall the entire learning process and make it harder to take action when the time comes. Once you break the link between seeing an opportunity and feeling bad about not taking it, you can break the hold that this cycle has over you. We suggest that you let yourself go through a phase of purposely not taking opportunities with women. Just observe them and let yourself feel good about yourself even when you aren't taking them. Say to yourself, I'm able to see opportunities, and that's an important step. I'll take opportunities later. In time, your nervous system will be so used to spotting opportunities that it will be much easier to take them. Seeing opportunities to interrupt women is a little like slowing down really, really fast. We had a student who was an expert in the field of stock trading. He was able to see and take advantage of financial opportunities that just seemed to flash by too quickly for us to see or understand what was happening. He had a completely different relationship with markets than we did. To us, the stock markets are just one big mess. We can't see opportunities in them. Because of his years of experience watching the market, this guy was able to slow things down. He told us that he did this by not beating himself up when he missed opportunities. This is what you must do too. Giving and receiving risk. In this book, we are going to teach you effective tools that can help you have deep, romantic, and seductive conversations with women. But to wield these tools effectively, you must understand the nature of risking with women. Doing any of the things we talk about in this book will require taking some risk. Most men are extremely averse to risking with women. They live their lives trying to avoid it. Many men who aren't successful with women are committed to eliminating risk with women. That's their unsuccessful strategy for success. Men are obsessed with not risking with women mainly for two reasons. First, they don't want to be hurt by a risk gone wrong. It totally sucks to take some big risk with a woman only to be shot down in one of the almost infinite number of ways women have of shooting down men. Second, men, especially shy men, want to eliminate risk with women because they are afraid that they will somehow hurt the woman they risk with. They are afraid that if they take a risk, the woman will be upset, offended, or emotionally damaged in some way. For these men, the apparent answer to both of these problems is decreasing risk and increasing control over their interactions with women. They start looking for the foolproof, always completely in control, no risk system for seducing women. Like a bad salesman who seeks that magic close that will force a customer to buy. A guy who can't risk with women will look for psychological tools that can force a woman to be attracted to him. He'll buy pig pheromone colognes, hoping the scent will awaken a woman's inner vixen. He'll play subliminal seduction audio tapes for her, hoping it will somehow create chemistry between them. Or he'll try to learn hypnosis, hoping to use it to bamboozle a woman into taking her pants off. He does all this in an attempt to eliminate all risk with a woman and to establish in its place complete control over all of his interactions with her. There are several problems with this. First, eliminating all risk with a woman and establishing complete control over your interactions with her doesn't work. In fact, it's the opposite of what works with women. Think about how you feel when you're with someone who's committed to completely controlling your interaction with him and the outcome of that interaction. You can't get away fast enough. Well, that's exactly how women feel with a man who's committed to eliminating risk, controlling the interaction and forcing a certain outcome. Salesmen are sometimes like this. It doesn't matter how good a pre-scripted rap you come up with, it's creepy for a woman to be with a guy who is trying to control her. Second, most men get discouraged with methods of seducing women in which the mantra seems to be control, control, control. Men want to be able to express themselves and create successful, seductive interactions with women. As one man told us, if I wanted to hide behind a fake self, then I might as well go to a prostitute. If you want anything deep or spontaneous with women, eliminating all risk and controlling everything is not the way to get it. At the same time, it also doesn't work to just do it, to take huge risks with women all of the time. We used to know a guy whose life's philosophy was go for the raw. This meant that every time he saw something scary or risky, he had to do it. Because if he didn't, as he put it, he wasn't really living his life. We think this is ridiculous, and the trouble it created in his life backs us up on that. Just because you can take a huge risk with a woman doesn't mean that you should. Just as risking because you can isn't the answer. Letting go of all control in your interactions with women is probably a bad idea too. Letting go of guiding or directing conversation in any way will all too often get you another female friend, and we've all had quite enough of that. If eliminating risk entirely and controlling everything doesn't work with women, and taking all the risks you can and letting go of all control doesn't work, what does? The answer is that you must take risks, but you must take them in a sensible, appropriate, and orderly fashion. Surprisingly and paradoxically, you actually provide more of a sense of both safety and excitement to women when you take intelligent and appropriate risks with them one step at a time. That's what creates both chemistry and trust. Managing and providing risk. Many men think that when they take a risk with a woman, they are somehow taking something from her. But the truth is this: when you take an appropriate risk with a woman, you are giving something to her. Your risk with her creates a space for her to take a risk back with you, which builds trust, safety, and attraction with you. If you don't take a risk with her, there's no space for her to risk with you, and she can't have a relationship with you, even if she wants one. Think of it this way: often a guy will wait around for a woman to risk with him before he risks with her. He wants her to say hi, he wants her to ask him out, he wants her to go for the first kiss. But why should a woman do something you aren't willing to do? Remember, most of the time a woman is looking to you to set the pace and feel for your interaction. If you take a small risk with her, she will see an opening to do the same with you. If you take no risks at all, try to keep control of everything and work to force a certain outcome with her. She will do the same with you, and it won't be the outcome you want. She will be controlling and defensive, and her goal will be to get away from you. As a general rule, women will only risk as much as you do, if that much. When you take an appropriate risk with a woman, it actually provides an opening for her to be self-expressed and have fun with you. This is what we mean when we say that you must provide risks for women. When you take an appropriate risk with a woman, you give her the opportunity to risk back with you. That's providing a risk, and it's the foundation for creating chemistry and trust with women. When the two of you take a small risk together, well, for instance, you may provide a risk by winking at her, and she may risk smiling back, and a little trust is built between you. You can then build on that trust to provide a slightly larger risk. For instance, you may provide a risk by asking her, what's the story behind that, about her necklace? And she may take a risk by telling you about how she got it on a trip to Central America. When that risk has gone well, there is even more trust between you. You can then provide the next larger risk and she can risk back. In time, a sense of trust and safety develops. Simultaneously, this process creates a real sense of excitement and chemistry between you. The two of you are constantly in the process of being on the edge with each other, constantly revealing a little more of yourselves with every risk, always trusting and risking a little more each time. That process is where excitement and chemistry come from. That process is where a lot of attraction comes from. And that is a process you can learn how to manage without being controlling, trying to eliminate risk, or attempting to force an outcome. Risk-only leveling. Building a relationship with a woman is a lot like building a house in which your intimacy and connection can live. You build that house one brick at a time. Every time you take a risk and she takes one back, and it works, you put another brick in the walls of the house. After a while, you've built 4 walls of trust that can contain the relationship you have with her. If you risk too much too fast, you are trying to live in the house before it is built, and trouble will come if any problems occur. At the same time, if you don't risk at all, you never even build a foundation for a relationship, much less the 4 walls and roof. The level of risk you should take is related to how much of this house you have built. If you have a lot of trust built up from taking many risks together, you can proceed to some bigger risks. If you don't have a lot of trust built up, you need to take smaller risks. It's important to underscore that trust is built over time and that chemistry and attraction are not the same as trust. A man who doesn't have much facility or experience with risk will trust a woman way too fast. He'll trust her utterly and completely with his entire heart the moment he experiences any chemistry with her. That's a really bad idea. We had one student who was dating a woman whom he was certain was the one after only one date. He was having tremendous success with her as he measured it. She seemed to like him, it was very exciting and delightful to be with her, and they were having amazing sex together. He jumped in deep, really opening his heart to her in a matter of days, totally risking himself emotionally. After all, what could possibly go wrong in such a whirlwind romance? Well, plenty could go wrong and plenty did go wrong. After a couple of weeks, this perfect woman disappeared. She rarely returned his calls and started blowing off their dates. Finally, she told him, "I like you, but with my life the way it is, it's just too much of a hassle to have a relationship right now. Besides, I'm sort of seeing this other guy." He was devastated, heartbroken, and even more afraid of taking risks with women than he had been before. When you meet a hot woman with whom you have great chemistry, your tendency might be to take big emotional risks with her as quickly as you can. That is a big mistake. It's insane to risk your entire heart right away. Take small risks one at a time and build trust over time. If you risk too much too quickly, you'll have your heart splattered all over the pavement, and you'll have short, passionate affairs that end with you being heartbroken and alone. That happens when you jump in too deep too fast, and you do that when you mistake chemistry for trustworthiness. Just because you have chemistry with a woman doesn't mean she won't flake out on you. It doesn't mean she won't have emotional problems that will cause her to leave. It doesn't mean you can count on her. But when you have great chemistry with a woman, you're all too likely to think that it means you can count on her, and you'll end up risking too much with her. The solution is to go slowly and build trust with a woman before you give her your heart fully. In other words, you must risk slowly over time in the way we will show you. If you are going to fall in love with a woman you are really attracted to, you need to take risks one step at a time to find out if you can trust her. You need to know if she's a psycho who's going to go nuts and take off on you, breaking your heart. You can only find this out by risking the proper amount at the proper tempo. On the upside, Most women are incredibly attracted to a man who can say, I really like you and I want us to take the time to learn to really trust each other so we can truly open up and be intimate. I want to take things slowly and build a connection we can trust. Saying this sort of thing tends to make a woman feel really safe with you and desire you all the more. After all, you aren't just trying to get as much sex out of her as you can, like all those other guys. She likes this. Therefore, she wants to have sex with you. A man slowing things down and risking with her one step at a time can be an incredible aphrodisiac to a woman. Slowing down a romantic relationship with a woman you are attracted to might suck, but it doesn't suck as much as one having a short affair that ends in heartbreak, or two, being so afraid of heartbreak that you develop a massive fear of taking any risks with women. How to provide risk. Let's look at how to provide risks for women. Most nice guys do not take enough risks and they do not provide enough risks for women. So women have too few opportunities to take risks back. How do you provide risks to a woman? You provide risks by taking risks. That's important. So let's say it again. You provide risks by taking risks. It helps to think of risk as a currency that you exchange with a woman. You put up a penny and she puts up a penny. You put up $1, she puts up $1. You put up $10, she puts up $10. You're exchanging these quantities. The exchange can get bigger as you learn from each other that it will be a fair exchange, an exchange you can trust. If you put up your penny and she takes it and runs, you know not to put up $100. But if she puts up a penny back, you know you can take the risk to put up a nickel. If she gives you a nickel back, you can then put up a dime. Let's give some specific examples now of the kinds of risks you can take at different levels. Penny risks, dollar risks, and $10 risks. Great, we hear you saying. Now talking with women is like banking and investing. Who would have known? Bizarrely, though, that is what talking to women is like. Successful investors learn to take intelligent financial risks. Most of the time, they learn how to do that by taking small risks and moving up to larger ones as they get better at it. As a result, they get better returns than do people who never invest their money, who never take any risks with it, and who leave it in the bank earning interest at 3% or less. By learning about intelligent risk, successful investors are able to leverage their assets, taking the risks that deliver the best returns. Penny risks. You can think of the first risks you take with a woman, the interruptions that allow you to speak with her, as penny risks. Saying hi is a penny risk. So is making eye contact, winking at her, smiling at her, checking out her body, and the other flirting moves. Each one of these small actions takes a risk with a woman and gives her the opportunity to risk back with you by being responsive in some way. If she does respond with a risk of her own, you are in business and can move on to the dollar risks. Dollar risks. The dollar risks are larger, but if the penny risks went well, why not move on? Complimenting a woman is a dollar risk, as is asking a question will teach you. What's the story behind that? The goodbye introduction, which you'll learn, is a dollar risk, as is situational flirting, deepening, and asking romantic questions. These risks all provide her with the opportunity to risk more by sharing more about herself with you. So she starts to risk liking you, which means she could get hurt. These risks are what generate the excitement in a relationship. $10 risks, asking for her number and email address, setting up a date, showing up for the date, doing something together on the date, touching her, going for the first kiss, and being even more sexual are all bigger risks. These risks and all the risks that lead up to her sharing her life with you, even if only for a little while. She starts to risk that you might change her life in ways she did not plan on. This is an exciting process for both of you. And with each new risk, you evaluate how it went before taking the next one. If a small risk did not pan out, don't go on to take a bigger risk. Instead, You might want to take a smaller risk and see if that works. This is all a matter of risking step by step. It's important for you to realize the risks you provide when dealing with women. Each risk offers a space for magic to happen between the two of you, and it's a gift that you as a man provide. You're not perpetrating evil or hurting someone else. You're providing that excitement that women need so much. Managing risks in order to risk back. Everything we will teach you in this book is to some degree a risk you will have to take with women. By knowing that, and by being able to take those risks one step at a time, you will have the power to create excitement and trust in your interactions with women. Of course, some of those risks won't work out, but we'll teach you how to handle rejection too. It's all part of learning how to talk to women. As you use the tools in this book, your mantra should not be control, control, control. That will only get you into trouble. Your mantra should be risk, risk, risk. Intelligent risks taken step by step. By using these tools to risk being romantic, rather than to control the interaction, you will be able to manage the orderly unfolding of a relationship. It may be short-term, it may be long-term, it may be deeply intimate, it may be purely sexual, but there will be a real connection, and you won't have to sell yourself out to get it. Curiosity. An important aspect of self-expression is curiosity. It's similar to enthusiasm. You've got to use it or lose it. Once you've repressed your curiosity long enough, it takes time to get it back. Many of us were taught as children not to ask questions to avoid being too curious. We all know the expression curiosity killed the cat. Asking questions and being curious were often said to cause trouble. Another problem with curiosity is that when you start asking questions, you stop being in control of the interaction. When you ask a woman questions about herself, suddenly you're not in control of what she might say. As we've said, most guys come to us wanting a line or routine. They're looking for a structure they can impose on an interaction that will keep them in control and get her romantically interested. But when you take the risk of not knowing what is going to happen and surrender to the chaos of interactions and conversations with women, you're more likely to connect with them and more likely to come across as fun and attractive. You can start the process of letting out your curiosity by asking women questions and simultaneously letting go of any outcome. Let go of trying to get into her pants and getting her number for a second, and just see if it feels different. We're not saying that trying to get into her pants is a bad thing at all. We're just saying that when you concentrate on getting into her pants as your sole outcome, it's very difficult to maintain a conversation and therefore hard to get into her pants. You never know where a conversation is going to go with a woman, but if you've got to stay in control and restrain your own curiosity and never ask a question you don't already know the answer to, you'll never be successful. Most men just give up because not knowing where an interaction is going is just too scary. Another advantage of learning to be curious is that it's not the least bit manipulative or scam-oriented. When you take risks with women and they risk with you, real intimacy can develop. If being curious is difficult for you right now, don't worry. After you start experimenting with being curious, it will become a lot easier. How to ask women questions. We're now going to explore how to ask women questions. This is not rocket science. So many men feel like they need to know the right things to say to a woman. The truth is that you don't need specialized esoteric questions. You just need to know how to be curious and ask questions. Let's look at the different kinds of questions you can ask. There are initial questions, the first questions you ask someone. Then there are follow-up questions which follow up on the response to your first question. Pretty simple so far, right? You got it. The basic sequence is you ask a question, she responds, and you ask another question. It's almost like having a real live conversation where you're opening your mouth and talking. One question leads to another, and before you know it, women are revealing themselves to you. They are risking themselves to you, and you are risking with them by asking questions and revealing yourself. Here are some handy, easy-to-use rules for asking questions and having good conversations with women. Asking questions is not the same as giving a compliment. It's great to compliment women, but most of our students find it intimidating to compliment a woman right away. Luckily, you don't have to start a conversation with a compliment. Instead, you can ask questions. Of course, you shouldn't insult women either. If you ask a woman, "How did you get your hair so ugly?" or "How did you get so stupid?" you aren't going to go anywhere good. We include these only for comic relief. When you first meet a woman, it usually makes sense to start with a simple question. Asking questions is not the same as making statements. Many of our students make the error of making statements rather than asking questions. For example, a student recently told us that he'd asked a woman a question the other day. Here's how he described it. "We were at a concert, and I said to her, 'The floor sure is sticky.'" Well, that's not a question, and that doesn't offer much of an opening for her to respond. You need to ask questions that evoke a response from her, not simply make statements. Asking questions is not the same as telling women about yourself. If you were at a concert and you walked up to a woman and said, "I sure like the band. Lewis and Copeland would come to your house and break your finger." This is a statement about yourself, not a question about her. You must learn the difference. This point seems simple, but many guys mess it up. You need to ask her something that will engage her. In a back-and-forth conversation, not spew your opinions about life. At first, a woman won't be interested in you or your opinions. Instead, she'll be interested in talking about herself. This means that your focus should be asking questions that let her do just that. Rather than talking about your favorite color, ask her what her favorite color is. Rather than raving about the great new CD you just bought, ask her what sort of music she likes. Rather than talking about your favorite season, ask her what her favorite season is. Don't ask cliched, boring, or stupid questions. When you're interacting with a woman and asking questions you are not allowed to ask, "Do you come here often?" You are also prohibited from asking about the weather. Those two questions are so cliched that you will come across as a total bonehead. The last thing you are forbidden from asking is, "What's your sign?" These all sound too much like lines and come across as boring and stupid. The good news is that there are countless good, simple questions. Once you get your curiosity circuitry going, you won't have a problem asking them. Don't ask, obviously, dumb questions. You might find yourself wondering, "Gee, are those breast implants? How do they stand up so well?" That's obviously not a question you're going to want to ask. We probably don't have to tell you this, but we wanted to double and quadruple check. We're not suggesting that you avoid thinking about sex or avoid wondering about a woman's breasts or what she's like in bed. Those are things we all wonder about when we talk to women. Don't even try to suppress those thoughts. We're just saying that none of those questions will fly. Just remember that you risk face slaps, explosive forms of violence, sexless nights and trouble if you make overtly sexual comments. Asking questions is not the same as cross-examining. It helps to say something like "wow" or "really" or "that's interesting" before asking a follow-up question. When you use those phrases, take a breath between questions and listen to her response, so a woman won't feel as if you're grilling her. Put away the interrogation room spotlight and make sure you avoid bombarding her with rapid-fire questions. Some men will keep asking a woman why, or barrage her with questions until she flips out. That's another way to have her feel like she's locked in an interrogation room with you. If you ask one question at a time and go at a slow, relaxed pace, the conversation will feel natural and easy to sustain. When some guys are excited, they feel pumped up. While being energized is a good thing, sometimes guys in this state tend to ask too many questions too quickly and not allow women enough time to respond. Just remember to slow down, give her time to respond, add a few appreciative comments, and you'll be fine. Avoid yes or no questions. Do you like art? What sorts of art do you like? Can you tell the difference between those two questions? Let's try this on Ron and David. David: so Ron, do you like art? Ron: yes, that clearly doesn't build much of a conversation. Let's try it again. David: Ron, what kind of art do you like? Ron: I'm a big Jackson Pollock fan. I like his huge abstract paintings. David: what else do you like about his work? Ron: I love seeing the movies of him splashing huge cans of paint onto canvases. I'm also interested in how he lived his life. David: so have you seen his work in person? Ron: yes. I've been to several exhibits of his work in New York, so you see where this can go. A yes or no question just doesn't cut it. For instance, do you like the band? Is a problem. A way to take that question out of the yes or no realm is to ask, what do you like about the band? Or how do you like the band? Start paying attention to the questions you ask women. Make sure you avoid putting them in a form that will have them answer yes or no. Women may not be interested in you. This may come as a shock to you, but our experience shows that many women are not the slightest bit receptive to anything we say. It's important, therefore, to remember that when a woman is mean to you or unresponsive, it's not a personal attack on you. We all have to deal with unfriendly women at one point or another. Remember, it's not your fault she was unfriendly, and you did nothing wrong by approaching her. When a woman is unfriendly, the best thing to do is to move on to the next one. It's pointless to waste your time and energy talking to women who are unreceptive. In fact, it can damage your self-esteem to hang around women who treat you like crap. Next time a woman is mean to you, remind yourself that there are other women out there who'd be happy to talk to you and would appreciate your initiating with them. And then move on. The point of asking questions is to get a conversation going. Don't worry if a woman strays from the question you've asked her. Some students get upset when they muster the courage to ask a woman a question and then, rather than answering their question, the woman responds by talking about a wholly different topic. Remember, when you ask a woman a question and she responds with any comment at all, it's good news. Your focus should be on getting a conversation going. For example, imagine you're talking to a woman in the liquor store about wine, and she starts talking about a movie she just saw. Don't say, "Hey, I asked you about wine. Just answer the question, lady." The point is that you want to be engaging with her, and it really doesn't matter what you talk about. The fact that you are actually having an interaction with her is good news. Having her open her mouth and talk to you is as good as it will get at first. Getting into curiosity. For us, curiosity often shows up as a small flicker in our minds that we must pay close attention to. If you don't pay attention when you feel curious about something, your interest fades. At this stage of the game, you're retraining yourself and creating new habits to let your curiosity out. At first, accessing your curiosity might be awkward and clumsy, but it will get easier over time. Asking a question of a woman and listening to your curiosity doesn't need to be a big deal. It doesn't require you to find complicated or unusual topics to explore. In the following examples, you'll see how we've taken incredibly mundane situations and created simple questions to ask women. After reading through these examples and doing some experimentation on your own, this will be a lot easier for you. Example: situation. You're at a concert, listening to the music and standing next to an attractive woman. What do you do? Here's the sequence we recommend you start employing when talking to women. First, breathe deep into your body. Many men breathe shallowly and high in their chests, and this really doesn't leave you feeling powerful. Hey, for that you need to breathe more deeply. We call this breathing into your balls. When we say this, we mean take a deep breath and imagine that feeling going all the way down to the core of your body, all the way down into your balls. It may sound silly, but it's been our observation that it makes a big difference. Second, ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Third, listen to the response you get. Here's a chain of curiosity questions that you could use at the concert. So, what do you think of the band? When she answers, they're great, run through the sequence again. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. For example, what are other bands you've seen that you like? This question then generates another response from her. You might ask, have you seen this band before? She might answer, no, I haven't seen them before. So you then repeat the sequence. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. For example, what do you think of them? Or the bass player's got really wild hair. What do you think about it? See how simple this can be? Once you realize that you don't have to put yourself on the line and show off, talking to women becomes a lot easier. What's important is for you to ask questions that make her impressed with herself. And when you focus on asking questions that make her impressed with herself, your life will be much easier. Example 2. Situation. You're in line, waiting to buy something in a grocery store, and you're standing next to a woman. You want to talk to her. What do? Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Listen to the answer. Ask your initial question. For example, you might say, "That's an interesting pin that you're wearing. What's the story behind it?" She might say, "Oh, I got this in Nepal." So you go through the sequence again. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in response to what she said. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. You might say, "Nepal, how interesting. Do you like to travel?" Or, "Nepal, that's really an interesting place. What were you doing there?" From there, you may find yourself creating a conversation with her. Example 3. Situation. You're in line waiting to buy something, and you're standing next to a woman with a new cell phone hanging on a clip from her purse. So what do? Go through the sequence. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Listen to the answer. Ask your initial question. "I see you have one of those new cell phones. How do you like it?" She responds, "It's great. It gets much better signal than the other one I had." Repeat the sequence. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. You might say, "What happened to your old phone and did it break? Or did you find there were parts of town where it didn't work?" And these are not very personal questions, but you can see how these can lead to deeper conversations. You can also see how simple and natural they are. Example 4. Situation. You are in a bookstore next to a woman reading a book. Go through the sequence. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your initial question. You might say, "That book looks really interesting. What do you think of it so far?" She might respond, "Well, it's pretty good." Run through the sequence again. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. You might respond, "So what do you like about the book?" Or, "Is that author good? Have you read other books by that author?" Or, "What have you been reading lately?" Or, "Is there anything you can recommend to me?" Those are the kinds of questions that start a conversation. Example 5. Situation. You are in a coffee shop and you're ordering coffee from the hot woman behind the counter. Start by running through the sequence. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your initial question. For example, You must see all sorts of stuff working here. What's the most unusual thing you've seen while working here? She might respond with something like, a guy came in here once and ordered 10 cups of coffee and drank them all within 8 minutes. So what do you say next? You go through the sequence again. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. You might say something like, what would have happened if you had drunk that much coffee? Or, if that was your weirdest day working here, what was the best day working here? Or, what's the coolest thing you've seen while working here? Or you might have asked, do you drink a lot of coffee while working here? I bet there's a lot of temptation. She might have answered, I can't drink coffee anymore, and I used to love it. Run through the sequence. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. You might say, what do you drink now instead? Or, why did you stop drinking it? One thing to notice here is that once again, these are simple questions. Also notice that when you ask them, you're not sharing a lot about yourself. You don't need to try to be impressive yourself. She doesn't care that you drank 25 cups of coffee one day and how cool you are for being a speed freak. She's interested in herself. Remember to focus on drawing her out with your questions, not on showing off. Example 6, situation. You're at the gym. After you finish a workout, a woman walks up and prepares to use the same machine you were on. So what do? Run through the sequence. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your initial question. Perhaps you say something simple like, what's your favorite machine here? She responds, I love doing bicep curls. That's my favorite. So you go through the sequence again. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. You might ask, what is it about the bicep curl that you like? A simple question like that could start a conversation. The more we practice having simple, easy interactions with women, the more powerful we see that they can be. Just simple curiosity, not trying to impress anyone, can lead to getting a woman's phone number, a date, a connection, rapport, and more. Example 7. Situation. You are waiting to be seated at a cafe. A woman is standing next to you who looks like the type of woman you'd like to be talking to. You notice that there is a lot of unusual art on the wall, so you run through the sequence, breathe into your balls, ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your initial question. You might say, hi, what do you think about all this art? She might respond, it's not my style, but I guess it's okay. Then you go through the process again. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. You might respond, what kind of art do you like? Or, what kind of art do you think might look better up there? Example 8. Situation. You are at a restaurant and an attractive waitress is waiting on you. You see her and want to talk to her, so you start by running through the process. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your initial question. You say something like, what's your favorite food, even if it's not on the menu? She responds, I love a really good steak. Run through the process again. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. You might respond, so what is the best steak you ever had? Or what's the best restaurant you've ever been to? Or what's your favorite restaurant in town? Or what's your favorite place in town for steak? Example 9. Situation. You're at a liquor store looking for tequila. An attractive woman working there asks if she can help you. You run through the process. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your initial question. You might say, "I'm looking for some good tequila. What kind do you like?" She might respond by telling you the brand she likes. You can then run through the process again. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. So you might come up with the question, "What do you like about it?" which would be a perfect next question. You could also ask, "Which place serves the best tequila or margaritas in town?" This could build into a deeper conversation. Example 10. Situation. You're at the video store looking for a DVD or a video. You see a cute woman stocking videos. You decide to talk to her. Here's what you do. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about with this woman. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your initial question. You might ask her, "What is your favorite new release?" Or, "What's the best movie you've seen recently?" She'll probably answer the question and mention a newly released movie. So you run through the process again. Breathe into your balls. Ask yourself what you could be curious about in her response. Take a second and listen to the answer. Ask your follow-up question. You respond, "What did you like about that movie?" Or, "Is that the kind of movie you normally like?" Or, "What kind of movies do you tend to rent?" This will get her telling you about herself. Then you can ask her more questions. Over time, these sorts of conversations can get much more intimate and personal. Conclusion. We strongly recommend you practice being curious with both men and women. A game that we like to play, though we don't tell other people we are playing it, is seeing how long we can go in a conversation without revealing anything about ourselves. In the game, you're only allowed to ask questions of another person. We were recently listening to a speech given by marketing guru Jay Abrams. He was talking about the power of questions and the power of listening. Abrams told a story about a time he was traveling cross-country and met a guy on an airplane. Abrams started asking the guy questions about himself. They talked for hours, nearly the whole trip. At the end of the conversation, the man turned to Abrams and said, "You are the most interesting guy I've ever met." Abrams commented that the ironic part was that he, Abrams, did not say anything about himself, he just kept asking questions. We mention this story to show how people will bond with you and feel comfortable with you when you give them the gift of asking questions. When you provide women an opportunity to talk and express themselves, they will not only feel bonded to you, but they will also feel appreciative that someone listened to them. They may not consciously realize that you only listened to them and only asked questions without sharing much about yourself. Still, as in Abrams's story, they will be conscious of feeling closer to you. We ask a lot of women if they've ever been on a date with a guy who just talked about himself, never shutting up or asking her anything. They all say yes. They mention that it's rare for a man to be a good listener. As part of your curiosity skills, take the time to listen to how women answer your questions. Good news, you are now free of having to generate magical conversation to impress a woman. Better news, you are now free to ask questions, listen to the responses and ask more questions. Chapter 2, The High Program and Vitality. You've learned about the importance of interrupting and initiating interactions with women. Here's a simple way to start putting that knowledge into action. Starting today, let's talk specifically about how you interrupt women and redirect their attention toward you. Many men think that what they really need is a great opening line. Guys often ask us, what are the opening lines that women like? Here are some opening lines we know women don't like, just for your amusement. Hey baby, let's do breakfast tomorrow. Shall I call you or nudge you? Hi, my name is David. Remember it, because you'll be screaming it later tonight. Hey baby, are you wearing your space underwear tonight? Because your ass is out of this world. Hey sexy, how would you like to join me in doing some math? Let's add you and me, subtract our clothes, divide your legs, and then multiply. If I could rewrite the alphabet, I would put you and I together. There must be something wrong with my eyes. I can't take them off of you. Excuse me, do you have a quarter that I can borrow? I told my mother that I would call her when I found the girl of my dreams. Congratulations, you've been voted most beautiful girl in this room. The grand prize is a night with me. Hey baby, is your dad a baker? 'Cause you sure have great buns. We are getting nauseated. Let's be absolutely crystal clear. We are not suggesting you use these lines. We include them to draw your attention to the basic problem with opening lines. No matter how cute, sexy, or obnoxious your opening line is, after you've used it, you are still face to face with a woman. When you use some opening line, she either laughs, snorts, or throws a drink in your face. Then you still have to come up with something to say next. If anything, cutesy opening lines make it harder to connect with a woman, because so often they are stupid lines that piss women off. The University of Chicago did a study of opening lines, your tax dollars at work, and found that hi is the most effective opening line with a woman. Hi is followed in effectiveness by do you like the band? But only if there's a band playing. Try to keep that in mind. The bottom line is there is no opening line that can keep you from having to generate a conversation with a woman, so you might as well use hi, at least it won't piss her off. Of course, you'll still have the problem of needing to generate a conversation with her, but we'll get to that. First, let's talk about that best of all opening lines, the word hi, the hi program. Getting into the habit of saying hi to women is an important first step in having longer conversations with women, conversations that lead to seduction and sex. Therefore, learning to say hi is your first task in interrupting and initiating with women. This is obvious but important to note. Saying hi to a woman establishes a precedent of communication that can work to your advantage. After you say hi to a woman, it's natural to continue talking with her. But it'd be weird to talk if you hadn't said hi. Therefore, saying hi is your first step toward seduction and sex. For instance, have you ever been in a situation where if you'd only said hi to a woman right away, it would have been appropriate to talk to her later on? Perhaps it happened while you were waiting in line. You got in line and you noticed a very pretty girl in front of you, but you didn't say hi to her when you first saw her as you got into the line. You were in your own world, or you were too afraid to say hi, or you didn't want to interrupt her, or you used whatever your standard excuse is for not interrupting and initiating with women. You stood in line next to this beautiful woman for a little while, and you realized that you wanted to talk to her. Perhaps you even thought of something the two of you could converse about, but by then you couldn't because it would have seemed weird to start talking to her after ignoring her for so long. If only you had said hi when you first got into line, you would have had some precedent of acknowledging each other's existence, and it would have been much easier to talk more later. You've probably had that kind of thing happen. We have too. Such sad, lost opportunities are the result of not setting a precedent of being a guy who talks to women. They're the result of not saying hi. If you are going to learn to talk to women and implement what you learn and become good at it, you have to be able to take scary actions and boil them down into steps that are so small that they are not scary anymore, or are just scary enough that you can still do them. The hi program is a great way to do that. The hi program is really simple. You decide how many women you are going to say hi to each day, and you do it. Suppose you decide to say hi to 10 women a day. Later on, while you're walking down the street, you see 10 women and you say hi to them. You go to the mall, you see 10 women, you say hi to them. When you follow the hi program, you become the kind of guy who just naturally finds himself saying hi to women. So when you're in that line, you have already said hi to that cute girl in front of you, and you can easily move on to some other conversational sequence. The rules of the hi program. Decide how many women you are going to say hi to each day and keep track of how you do. Many of our students say they will say hi to 10 or 20 women a day for 5 or 6 days a week. Decide how many women you will say hi to for how many days a week and write it on a piece of paper or on an index card. Carry that card with you and keep track of how many women you actually say hi to as you go through your day. This may seem silly, but it's important. If you don't have an idea of how many women you said hi to, it's very easy to get stopped and stay stopped. If you keep track, you can look at your index card and say, wow, I said I would say hi to 10 women a day, and I said hi to 0 women yesterday and 2 today. Then you can look through this section again, figure out what your problem is, and correct it. If you don't keep track, it'll be easier to delude yourself, overlook hands, and blow the power of the entire program. On the other hand, keeping track also helps you feel good about what you've accomplished, especially if you've been a shy guy. Looking at your card and seeing you said hi to 32 women today can feel pretty good. It's worth doing. The women you say hi to don't have to hear you say hi. At this point, the important thing is that you open your mouth and say hi. What's not important at this juncture is whether women hear you. So open your mouth and say hi whether you think she can hear you or not. The women you say hi to can be walking in the other direction or even wearing headphones. It doesn't matter. Just say hi. A lot of guys say, well, all the women I saw this week, all of them 100%, were wearing headphones and were rollerblading the other way, or for some other reason wouldn't have heard me, so I didn't say hi. Well, that's garbage. These guys didn't say hi because they were scared, and they used a woman's inability to hear them as an excuse for not following the program. Open your mouth and say hi. It doesn't matter if she hears you or not. Say hi to any woman you see. That's right, any woman. She can be old, fat, disabled. It doesn't matter. Remember, this is about building your initiation muscle so you can interrupt women and redirect their attention, no matter how briefly, toward you. At this point, it can be with any woman at all. It doesn't matter. Celebrate that you did it. Often we talk with a guy who would only let himself feel good about himself if he managed to convince a totally unattainable, uninterested supermodel whom he met on the street to sleep with him in 15 minutes or less. Then and only then would he allow himself to feel good about what he accomplished with women. We've said it before and we'll say it again. That kind of attitude is a mistake. If you are learning to talk to and seduce women, you must allow yourself to feel good and to celebrate each step in the process of getting laid. Beating yourself up and feeling bad will not help, because a guy who is really down on himself is inherently unattractive to women. So reward yourself, praise yourself for saying hi. It will help start you on your way to becoming a master at talking to women. If you try to practice the hi program, but put down your effort and success just because you aren't getting laid yet, you will only impede your own process. Let yourself feel good about taking action. Tell yourself things like, wow, I said hi to 10 women. I am the man. Find something to celebrate about the progress you are making in interrupting and initiating with women. You might want to keep a journal about it, perhaps writing, I am the man because I said hi to 25 women today. I can see that I really am breaking out of my shell, and that's great. Or you can get your body involved, make some little motion like shaking your fist powerfully while saying, yes, I said hi. We're amazed by the extent to which the men we work with resist feeling good about the small steps and small actions they take with women, but it's important that you do so. Most men have a hard time celebrating any accomplishment that isn't ideal. That won't work with women. Women like to be around men who feel good about themselves, so it makes sense to reward yourself and feel good about taking this first step in talking to women, saying hi to them. You must do this. So many of our students will say things like, well, I was walking down the street and I said hi to 20 women in 5 minutes and it was easy, so therefore it doesn't count. Or they say, yeah, I said hi to 10 women, but they were all old or ugly, so it doesn't count. They discredit their work before they even see the positive effects of it. Many men who have a hard time talking to women are often caught in this trap. It's either got to be too hard, and thus they can't do it, or it's too easy, so it doesn't count. It's as if they haven't suffered enough to allow themselves to feel good about what they did. Don't make this mistake. Practice out loud. Some men are stopped by the idea of saying hi to women they don't know. They start to say hi, and they choke up. Actually, such chokes happen to everyone now and then. You open your mouth to say hi, and nothing comes out. It's embarrassing, but there it is. If you have trouble saying hi to women, practice saying hi out loud, alone in the comfort and privacy of your own home or car. Just say hi over and over in a clear, powerful voice. This will get your body used to saying hi and make it easy and natural to do. Soon you'll be able to do it without thinking about it, which is what you need when you get face to face with a beautiful woman. You'll be able to say hi to women on the street, in bookstores, at classes, or anywhere else you meet them. How? You can screw up the hi program. Our experience has shown us that men are very inventive in screwing up the hi program. Here are the most popular traps guys fall into. Learn these and avoid them and you will be fine. Disqualifying all women. You can screw up the hi program by disqualifying every woman as a candidate for a hi. Usually it works like this. A guy refuses to say hi to most women because they are not hot enough. He then refuses to say hi to the rest because they are so hot that he's intimidated. The solution is to remember this. Your job is to say hi to something female and human. That's all. Waiting for the perfect moment. The truth is, there's never a perfect moment to say hi. You just have to do it. If you can't just say hi, you're going to have a really hard time generating conversations with women. Waiting around for the perfect moment to say hi guarantees that you'll never say hi because the perfect moment never comes. You have to make that moment happen by interrupting her flow and creating it. Most contact with women is not going to happen unless you make it happen. You need your interruption muscle to be strong so you can create that contact. This is critical. Remember, you alone are responsible for interrupting women and initiating contact with them. You have to do it. Only saying hi to women who make eye contact with you. This is a very common problem men have with the hi program. Guys say to us, you guys told me to say hi to 10 women a day, and I thought that would be really easy, but then no woman made eye contact with me, so I couldn't say hi to any of them. Listen, if you are going through life waiting for women to make eye contact with you before you say hi, you are waiting for women to initiate with you before you will interact with them. You are trying to avoid interrupting women, and how well has that been working in your life? Not very well. The terrible truth, you must say hi to women even if they aren't looking at you. Women are rarely going to make eye contact with you before you say hi. They are going to avoid contact because that is what women are programmed to do. Say hi anyway. Getting upset by women's responses. You'll get all sorts of responses when you say hi. Some will be warm, some not. One of the benefits of the hi program is you start to learn that her response doesn't matter. What matters is that you took action. You took a risk in saying hi. David, the other day I was leaving my gym and I saw a very pretty girl standing in the gym's foyer looking at a poster on the wall. As I went by her, I said, "Hi." She started in shock and turned toward me, horrified. She looked completely terrified, which is strange, as I happen to know that I am not that scary-looking a guy, but this is part of being the kind of guy who says hi, who goes for what he wants without shame or apology. Some women are really in their own world of fear and upset. It has nothing to do with you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. If I hadn't startled her, something else would have. So I did what you have to do in those situations. I reminded myself that dating is a numbers game, that this kind of response happens occasionally, and that it was about her, not me. Then I went on with my day and didn't think about it anymore. Ron. Here's another example of the weird kind of response you might get when you say hi. The other day, I was walking in a nearby woods and I said hi to a woman who was also walking there. Her response? She turned and ran away from me, and I am not that scary looking either. It was this beautiful nature area. I smiled and said hi, and she just looked incredibly upset. We are here to tell you that it's time to stop worrying about women's responses, even if they are like the ones detailed above. It's time to get past this idea that you are going to shatter a woman's entire personality just by saying hi. Some women, because of their own problems, their own history, and their own lives, will get a little spooked when you say hi. It doesn't matter. If you hadn't spooked her, something else would have. That's her, not you. It's worth risking this kind of response because hi can also work for you. We have had many more experiences where just saying hi has initiated wonderful, seductive conversations with women. You just need to remember that everybody who practices the hi program occasionally gets a weird response, and so will you, refusing to take any risks. Men also kill the hi program by being unwilling to take risks. Many men worry about what other people will think and aren't willing to risk that people might think poorly of them because they say hi to women. For instance, you may feel like you are risking that everyone will see what you are doing. Everyone will know you are trying to be a seducer, and everyone will point at you and laugh or throw rocks at you or whatever. However, if you are going to initiate with women and get them into bed, you're going to have to take these risks and more like them. For now, simply know this. Interrupting women feels risky because it is risky. By following our advice, you'll learn how to take smart risks with women and gradually move into bigger risks over time. The small risk of saying hi is the perfect place to start. Deciding the hi program is so simple that you don't need to do it. A lot of our students say, well, saying hi to women is really easy, so it can't really be effective. I mean, I could do that right now. We always respond, okay, great. If it's so easy, say hi to 10 women a day for the next week. Inevitably, they come back the next week and tell us, wow, it was a lot scarier and more challenging than I thought, and more valuable too. The results of the HI program. The results of the HI program can be amazing. One of our students, a guy who had not had sex in a couple of years at least, was a great example of this. We gave him the assignment of saying hi to 10 women a day and sent him on his way. When we talked to him the next week, we asked, how'd it go? Did you say hi to 10 women a day? He said, no, I didn't say hi to 10 women a day. I said hi to more than 300 women in the last 7 days. I went to the beach and I said hi to every woman I saw. I went to the mall and I said hi to every woman I saw. Wherever I went, I said hi to every woman I saw. I said hi to 50, 60, even 100 women a day. I said hi to hot women, ugly women, old women, young women, all of them. He had done great work, and he felt really good about it. Taking such massive action had positive results. He got his interruption and initiation muscle so strong that he was empowered to boldly and powerfully take the next steps in talking to women as we taught them to him. He became able to take opportunities as they presented themselves and gave himself a bias for action with women that over time got him sex with a number of women and eventually a girlfriend. Obviously, saying hi by itself wasn't enough, but the point is this: he never would have succeeded without learning to say it. He got himself to the point where he could initiate easily, and that made it possible for him to meet, converse with, and seduce women. Strengthening your interruption and initiation muscle is the critical first step in being able to talk to women successfully. And the best way to get that muscle stronger is by saying hi. If you don't feel like you have the guts to do more, just start by saying hi to a few women a day or even one a day. That will start to develop your initiation muscle, and that will start you on your way to powerfully and reliably talking to women. Vitality. Men who have had bad experiences with women usually develop habits that make it harder to connect with women. For instance, they never develop the habit of expressing their vitality and their physical energy. In fact, they are often unable to project any form of excitement or up vibe about anything. These men have repressed the parts of themselves that display vitality when interacting with others. We're going to discuss two types of vitality: physical vitality and vocal excitement. We'll show you how to have more physical vitality and vocal excitement in your life. Both will help you become more powerful with women. Physical vitality. If you don't have physical excitement and physical energy, if you don't project a physical presence, it's hard for women to get excited about you. If you are calm and have a flat affect, you've got a problem. Women are looking for someone who has vitality, passion, and energy. Put another way, do you come across as a guy who gets laid or as a guy who is painfully shy and hard to talk to? One way to have more vitality is to act with more urgency around women. Many men treat life like a rehearsal. There's no energy or commitment behind what they do. They act like they can wait around forever before taking action. As a result, they appear to be wishy-washy and they have a flat affect. These men also tend to come across as boring and predictable. If you fall into this category, don't worry. We'll teach you methods of bringing more vitality to your life. It's a skill that you can master if you work on developing it over time. Ways to increase physical vitality. Look over your life and situations in which you were interacting with women. Did you have a sense of urgency when talking with them, or were you flat and wishy-washy? Our hope is that this book will inspire you to start taking more risks with women and feel more confident to take on life at a much higher level than you've ever felt comfortable doing before. Here are 5 things that will help you do just that. Use your body for emphasis. When you use your hands and body as you speak, you'll come across as more passionate and powerful. Don't go too far, though, by pretending to have an epileptic fit. We're talking about adding hand and body movements for emphasis only. You shouldn't wave your arms around looking insane. To get a better idea how to use your body to emphasize what you're talking about, watch late-night TV talk show hosts and comedians. TV performers are good speakers because they're subtle and graceful and use their body in a very natural way. These people are skilled at adding body movements to emphasize the humor in their monologues. Studying these performers should give you an idea how to integrate your body into your own speaking style. Make eye contact. Part of developing a physical presence is training yourself to make eye contact with women. When you enter a room, do you sweep the room making brief eye contact with women, or do you look at the floor and try to hide? Most shy men avoid eye contact no matter what. One of the components of having a physical presence is making eye contact with women as well as men. It's important that you learn to be seen by people and feel comfortable being looked at. When you approach a woman, it's crucial that you feel comfortable looking at her and making eye contact when you speak. Otherwise, you'll come across as wishy-washy and uninterested. You might find making eye contact scary. If so, you're not alone. Many men find eye contact intimidating. We recommend that you practice this skill as often as you can. On the train, walking down the street, anywhere there are women. Over time, you'll feel more comfortable, dance and jump around. Another thing you can start doing right away is to put on a danceable song and spend at least 5 minutes each day dancing and jumping around to the music. Many men who are intimidated by women don't give themselves permission to get excited about anything or to feel physically excited about anything. They tend to stay calm and flat. Train yourself to be more spontaneous by dancing to a song every day. Let yourself scream. It's important to let go and make some noise occasionally. You might want to go into your car and scream loudly. It's important that you learn to express yourself and amp up or calm down depending on the situation. One way to learn to be more excited is by amplifying your voice. Working out on a regular basis is another way to charge up your body. When you feel great after a workout or run, you in turn project vitality to the women you interact with and the other people in your life. Working out is important not only because it helps with stress relief and keeps you in good shape, but also because it increases your physical presence when you're with women. Find a form of aerobic exercise you enjoy and do it often. These 5 suggestions will help you develop physical presence and power with women. All of these exercises will help you be more self-expressed and will help you come across as more attractive to women. Remember, have fun while you do them and stop when it stops being fun. Vocal excitement. When you're vocally excited, you speak with a variety of vocal tones. You don't just talk in a monotone and say the same thing over and over. If there aren't many speed changes or volume changes in your speaking style, you come across as dead. When you approach a woman and are boring and flat, she'll likely want to avoid talking to you. The reason most guys talk quietly is because they're scared of interrupting or upsetting women. One way to feel more confident is to learn to speak from your balls. Speaking to women from your balls. We first talked about speaking from your balls in Chapter 1. It sounds strange, but it's very effective. We've all had moments when we felt strong and confident and made no apologies for what was coming out of our mouths. We've all had moments when we've said something and it felt like it just came out of our core and people just stopped and listened. If you go back and think about how it felt to speak powerfully, you'll find that it came from your guts or all the way down from your balls. Most likely, it was as if an energy came up from that part of your body and out your mouth. We're going to teach you how to reproduce that experience at will. Men who feel intimidated around talking to women cut off their life energy and their vitality. When you speak from your balls, you feel more confident because you have your life energy supporting you. When you have vitality and confidence, talking to women is much easier. The idea of speaking from your balls or your guts is not that unusual. We know that peak performers in sports and other fields incorporate this concept into their success strategies. They get really grounded in their guts or their balls. They feel a connection to that area. They breathe into it and they get psyched up. Peak performers use this practice to make themselves feel strong, confident, and powerful before they go into a speech or important situation. This is an awkward thing to discuss. The notion of coming from your balls is so foreign that our only connection to talking about it is to associate it with masturbation. We want you to start associating speaking from your balls with having the power to help you get what you want with women, not with something to feel embarrassed about or hide from. Here's how you can use this energy. Start by closing your eyes and sensing the energy around your navel and your balls. We're not talking about jerking off here or anything like that. Sense it internally. Sense that energy, sense your balls, and then breathe into it. Next, feel your breath circulate down to your guts and balls and then come back up. The more comfortable and familiar you become with that energy, the more confident you will feel with women. The more familiar you are with that energy, the easier it will be to access that sense of calm and confidence when you are talking to women. This simple practice can be done anytime, anywhere. When they first start working with us, most of our students tend to speak from their heads or their throat. It's as if they are cut off below their necks. They don't feel powerful and instead avoid being grounded and in touch with their power. They are used to avoiding their balls and guts when they feel scared. You can train yourself, however, to focus on this area. Over time, it will greatly enhance your self-confidence. Breathing is an important aspect of learning to speak from your balls. It always sounds silly when someone tells you to breathe. If we weren't breathing, we'd be dead, obviously. But you can breathe deep down inside of yourself and imagine the air going deeply, or you can breathe shallowly. When men feel intimidated, they usually breathe shallowly. Breathing deeply helps you relax. Spend a few minutes each day breathing deeply into your navel and below, and feeling the power that comes from that part of your body. Practices to enhance your vocal excitement level. Just as you need physical vitality, you also need to project vocal excitement. Here are a few practices to experiment with that will enhance your vocal capacity. Imagine that there's an excitement meter inside of you. When the meter is at 10, you are bursting with excitement. 0 equals being dead. Most of the time, shy men are around 1 or 2 on the excitement meter. They don't want to rock the boat or let things get out of control, so they don't get more excited. One way for you to get more excited is to put yourself in front of a mirror and see how close to 10 you can get. Try this for 30 seconds to a minute and see how it feels to have the excitement circulate through your body. Spend time with another person and take at least a minute to get more excited about something than you normally would be. You can go into this one step at a time, and you don't have to peg it at 10 right away. If you're normally at 1 or 2, let yourself go to 4 or 5, then gradually raise the bar. This might seem crazy to you. In fact, it is silly, and when you're excited, you risk looking silly. When you're in the flow of being excited, however, it's attractive to women. You can get away with a lot more when you're excited about something than you can when you're dull and boring. People want to be around excited people. If you're willing to accept your own enthusiasm about things, which might be silly, other people will also be okay with it. If you're willing to accept those silly parts of yourself, a woman will know that you will also accept her silly and awkward parts. Act excited about mundane things. You can choose to be excited about life, or you can choose to be dead. You can hide in your house, be afraid to talk to anyone, and be afraid to show your interest in anything, but this will only keep you further away from women. The alternative: get engaged in life and take the risks to let yourself engage with women. We're giving you permission to let yourself show your enthusiasm. Conclusion: you now know the HIGH program and how to implement it in your life. We invite you to decide to start using the HIGH program today. Choose how many women you are going to say hi to each day and start doing it. Keep track, see what comes up to block. You get through those blocks and celebrate your successes. The HIGH program is the foundation for taking the next steps with women we will teach you in upcoming chapters. You also now know about creating and increasing physical and vocal vitality. Both of these factors will be important in your future abilities to converse seductively with women. Chapter 3: The Inner Game of Talking to Women. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. Henry David Thoreau. There is an inner game of talking to women. It's all about grappling with yourself and dealing with your fears at every stage of approaching and talking to women. You might say that there is a war in your head. There's a battleground inside you. Perhaps there is a part of you that wants to talk to women while another part is scared to death of rejection. One part of you wants relationships with women. Another part only wants short-term sex. One part of you feels strong and confident. Another part of you feels scared and intimidated. Let's spend some time looking at the internal struggles related to seduction and offering some tips on how to handle the inevitable internal problems that come up when approaching women. Problems that arise when communicating with women, defending, apologizing, and protecting yourself. When talking to women, many men feel as if they have to defend themselves. They immediately assume that everything a woman says is a personal attack. These men act as if women are out to get them, out to humiliate them, and the only thing they can do to retaliate is be prepared for an inevitable attack. When Bob the Bad Seducer talks to women, he is constantly on guard and wondering when she will attack him. He stares at her with an angry expression. When a woman asks him a personal question, he takes on a defensive tone and says, "What do you mean by that?" Or, "Why do you think that's your business?" Bob is so wrapped up in his paranoia that he is unable to have a conversation with a woman. Taking a defensive position when you're talking to women does not work. When you take on a defensive position and assume a woman is attacking you, being aggressive or trying to harm you, you seem uncomfortable, mean, and nasty. You need to be open when you're talking to women. When you're focused on defending yourself or apologizing for your sexual interest, you cannot listen to a woman and cannot have fun with her. When you're with a woman, look for times when you're defending and protecting yourself and times when you aren't. What's the difference? What are the internal triggers? The other side of being defensive is being protective. What are you protecting yourself from when you're talking to women? Usually you are protecting yourself from rejection or from looking like a moron, or else you're simply trying too hard to look good. Unfortunately, there is nothing you can do but take risks with women. You always risk looking stupid, being vulnerable and being awkward. Approaching women is inherently risky and vulnerable. You have to decide to live with it. Another common trap is apologizing for your sexual interest. Shy men feel as though approaching women is wrong. They think that if they show romantic or sexual interest, it in some way hurts a woman. These men think they are so powerful that they can ruin any woman's day merely by commenting that she is beautiful or showing any interest. Strategizing. There are concrete skills you can learn to help you succeed with women. It's smart to study seduction materials. Study this book and our other products and learn as much about yourself, women, romance and sexuality as possible. Studying, however, is all about preparation. Once you're having an actual conversation with a woman, all the rules change. Once you're in an actual conversation with a woman, it's best to try to forget about forcing an outcome. Relax and have fun. To be in the present moment, you need to give up any strategy that you may have. There are a few reasons why strategizing does not work. The experience of being with women changes from moment to moment, so any strategy you employ will not be applicable to the inevitable curveballs women will throw at you. How can you have a strategy for a situation that has no predictability? You can't. Strategizing makes you blind to openings. When you are talking to women, there are subtle openings to ask for phone numbers, initiate different types of conversations, go for the first kiss, and more. When you're focused solely on your strategy, you will not see the openings for moving things further. You need to be in an odd Zen-like state of being immersed in the situation, yet detached enough to see when to ask for her phone number. If you are solely focused on a strategy, you'll miss the openings. Strategizing is not fun. Why do we keep talking about fun? Fun, men turn women on. When you're having fun, you're in the flow. And when you're miserable and struggling, you are not attractive. When you focus on a strategy and work hard to seduce women, you take all the fun out of it and make talking to women feel like work. Relax and find ways to enjoy the experience. Strategizing makes you come across as a freak. A man who is focused on a strategy comes across as awkward and uncomfortable. Telemarketers are always trying to use cute lines and stupid questions to engage you, and they always come across as time wasters. Salesmen who have an agenda or are using a sales strategy come across as creepy. When you are focused on a strategy or using a technique, you too will come across as superficial and creepy. Think about how a martial artist goes into a fight. He works on his kicks, his punches, his blocks, and more. He works for years developing muscles and strength, practicing in the dojo with his fellow students. During an actual fight, he uses everything he's ever learned during his training. He uses the blocks, the kicks, the punches, and more. But to do that during the actual fight, he must give up any strategy and any skill he's learned and be aware of the other fighter. He must be open to responding to anything that happens. If he's focused on showing off, strategizing, or expecting the other fighter to fight a particular way, he's in for a rude awakening. The moment he starts thinking he understands how the fight will go, he'll likely get his ass kicked. The moment he starts expecting a kick or a punch, the other fighter will do something completely different and knock him out. With women, you need to let go of any strategy and skill you've learned and be open to whatever happens. When you can be aware, present, and open, talking to women will be fluid and fun. Manipulating. Do you want to learn a surefire method for feeling like a jerk? Do you want to find a way to feel guilty, crummy about yourself, and regretful? Manipulating women is one way you can create a situation where you feel like a total jerk. We've worked with thousands of men, and the number one concern they have in seducing women is that they want to date and have sex without being a jerk. Men tell us that when they manipulate and lie to women, they feel terrible, they feel guilty and depressed. Men tell us that even when manipulation works, the cost is not worth it. The ultimate cost for manipulating women is your self-esteem. Fortunately, you don't need to manipulate. You can build real connections using the tools in this book. Looking for certainty. If you want to learn to be a powerful seducer, then you need to stop looking for certainty. If you are searching for a seduction method that is based on certainty and stability, you will fail every time. Talking to women is all about uncertainty and unpredictability. Talking to women is like jumping off a high diving board. So what do? You can either climb back down or decide not to jump, or you can muster up the courage to go for it. If you jump, there are a few seconds in which you are falling through the air, which feels scary, exhilarating, and intense. Talking to women is like jumping off a diving board. At first, there is no way of knowing how things will go. You don't know if she's got a boyfriend, if you're her type, if you'll offend her with a comment, or if you'll take her home that night and have sex with her. To have a chance at success, however, you need to jump and go for it, and understand that you have no clue about whether you'll succeed or fail. We all get scared when we first approach a woman. We all feel nervous and uncertain and doubt our skills. You can still go for it, though. Your job is to feel the fear and still do it anyway. Resisting the truth. Many of our students have a hard time facing the harsh realities of dating women. Most men want a sanitized version of dating women. They want the version without the risk of pain and humiliation. Guess what? That's not real. Most women on this planet are not the slightest bit interested in dating you. So what? You're only looking for the handful of women who are. Let's get honest here. Harsh truths that you must face. Some of our students meet women who have boyfriends, and they will not accept the fact that the woman is already taken. Some of our students keep calling a woman even after a few dates have gone badly. They fail to accept the fact that the woman is not interested in them. Some of our students keep calling women even after a few dates have gone badly. They fail to accept that they don't like the woman. We all meet women we find attractive who have no interest in us. The vast majority of women you talk to are not interested in you. It's important to see the truth and accept facts. When you hold on to false hopes and lie to yourself, it's hard to succeed with women. Pain can be a great motivator. It's our belief that it's better to be honest and real. It's better to feel the pain of failure and loneliness than it is to lie to yourself. The pain can become an ally, not something to resist. When you're able to be honest, it's much easier to come up with an action plan and get back into the game of dating. Forcing an outcome. As men, one way we succeed in life is by forcing outcomes. If you're a computer programmer, for instance, through sheer hard work, discipline and drive, you can accomplish nearly anything and complete any project. If you're a doctor or an academic, you can push yourself and struggle through medical school or struggle through your PhD thesis process. You can push yourself at any job to work overtime, do additional studying, take on additional responsibilities, and accomplish tasks you never thought you could. Succeeding with women is different from success at work. When it comes to seducing women, hard work is important, but hard work alone will not bring you success. You can control a lot of outcomes at work. You can't control women. You cannot control outcomes with women. None of us knows what a particular woman wants, what turns her on, what she's looking for in a man. So you cannot approach the issue of how to seduce women in the same way you would your work problems. With women, it's all an experiment. You show up, run some communication experiments like deepening questions and romantic questions, and see what the response is like. If she's open, you do some more. If she's unreceptive, you move on. This is also true when going on dates. You cannot force a woman to have sex with you or be in the mood to make out. You can show up and do your best to create a romantic mood. Then again, you can do everything perfectly and she still might not be turned on by you. The bottom line is twofold. You cannot control outcomes with women. You can only show up and do your best. You cannot force outcomes with women. Do not even try. Trying to solve her problems, trying to solve a woman's problems is suicide. You might as well just put a gun to your head and blow your brains out if you think a woman will be romantically interested in you if you solve her problems. Many men use the therapist ploy to attempt to become lovers with women. The ploy usually works this way. A guy is a friend with a woman he wants to date. He thinks that if she opens up to him emotionally, then it will likely lead to sex. He thinks that if he can solve her emotional problems, she will want to date him. Then, to his surprise, things pan out differently. Lying. Some dating experts encourage men to lie to women as a way to get sex. We are wholly against lying to women and do not in any way encourage you to lie. We want you to cultivate the skills to create relationships with women you can feel good about, not regret. What does lying say about you? Lying says that you are the kind of guy who cannot get women by being honest. You cannot get women unless you pretend you're someone else. You cannot get women if you are just you. Lying leads to a lack of self-respect and to regret. Lying might work in the short term, but ultimately, it's very costly. What if you end up really liking a woman and want to pursue a relationship with her? Then she finds out you lied to her and she's no longer interested. What if you forget about the lies you told and a woman catches you in one of your lies? How is that going to go over? What if the word gets around that you're a liar? The bottom line is that lying is unnecessary and tends to cause more problems than it's worth. Instead, we recommend you cultivate internal integrity and avoid lying to women, comparing yourself to other men. Rarely is it motivating to compare yourself to other men. This book and this program are about you and you alone. It's about what you can do to get women into your life. We all have different experiences and skills. What most of our students do is look at the bad boys and the men who are with the hotties, women, and feel jealous and depressed. Our students say things like, other men are rich and can therefore easily get women. Other men live in a city with more hot women per capita. Other men have a job that is more conducive to meeting women. Other men are younger than I am and therefore have an easier time. Other men are taller. Other men are in better physical shape. Other men are just naturals. All of these excuses are traps. There is nothing you can do about other men. All you can do is change yourself. Rather than focusing on what other men are doing and all the lucky breaks they have, what can you do? Maybe you're very inexperienced with women, and to you it's a huge stretch just to say hi to women. If that's hard for you, then start by saying hi and build your skills from there. Other men feel more comfortable and need to start experimenting with the advanced conversational modes in this book. Some men may feel clueless about dating women and want to buy the Mastery Program audio course because they need a comprehensive program for meeting and dating women. Check out our website, www.howtosucceedwithwomen.com, for more information on that and other helpful products. No matter where you are in the process, comparing yourself to other men is not useful. What's useful is constructing a plan of action that improves your skills, beating up on yourself. One key difference between successful seducers and unsuccessful seducers is that the most successful seducers don't beat themselves up. Instead, they constantly focus on the ways in which they are successful with women. Dating women is a long-term project, and as with all long-term projects, the goal is small, incremental progress over time. Sometimes there will be big steps forward, sometimes small steps backward. Along the way, there will be upset, pain, harsh reality, scary moments, fun, and joy. You need to develop an internal approach to see the positive steps you take with women. In the confusing long odyssey of dating women, you need to constantly look at the movement and steps you've taken and constantly compliment and reward yourself for your own progress. You can either look at each interaction with women and kick yourself for the ways you blew it, or you can celebrate the fact that you actually did something. Unfortunately, beating up on yourself has become a way of life for many of our students. They make a practice out of feeling guilty for any opportunities they didn't take with women, errors they made while talking to women, and opportunities to ask for phone numbers they didn't take. Instead, we recommend you keep track of all the things you do correctly. When you can see the things you've done correctly and the ways you've pushed yourself in new directions, it will enhance your self-confidence. If you only focus on the things you didn't do correctly, you'll never improve. Stop beating up on yourself or Louis and Copeland will break your finger. If beating up on yourself worked, we'd tell you, not listening. To be an effective seducer, it's important to develop listening skills. When you are able to listen carefully to what a woman says, you learn important information about her. You learn what she likes and dislikes. You learn what she considers romantic and what she's passionate about. You also learn how to move the conversation into more seductive depths. These details are useful in coming up with date ideas and also in creating more rapport between the two of you. All too often, men don't listen to women because they're thinking about the next step in a seduction or maybe just the next question to ask. Deal with your internal dialogue when you are talking to a woman, and you will be able to pay attention to her. Being on the couch and wishing you were out flirting with women. It's easy to sit on the couch at home wanting to interact with women. We all get frustrated and depressed and just do not want to go out and practice our seduction skills. But there is no other way to get women. They are not going to parachute into your backyard. They are not going to suddenly knock on your door and beg for sex. They are not going to chase you down the street and then take off their shirt and beg you to feel them up then and there. It just ain't going to happen. Here's how we recommend you change this pattern. Get up, leave the house, and go somewhere other than home. Perhaps your eventual goal is to go to bars and talk to women, but at the moment you're terrified of doing so. Instead, you can start tonight by going to bookstores and saying hi to 10 women. If you're home on the couch, see if you can get motivated to take one small step toward talking to women by leaving your house. Maybe you'll just go to the coffee shop and smile at a few women. That's a much bigger step than staying at home. Scamming women. Remember the line from the movie Body Heat about the perfect crime? 100 things can go wrong with every perfect crime. If you're a genius, you can think of 50 of them, and you're not a genius. Do guys who use transparent scams to get women actually think women are dumb enough to fall for them? We know a hot, young, bisexual female who spends a lot of time online. She says it's not shocking that men try to scam on her online. It's just shocking how transparent these scams usually are. The bottom line is this. Most of the time when you think you're getting away with something, you're actually being incredibly obvious. This makes people, especially women, hate you and not want to give you what you want. Many of us learned early on in life that the only way to get ahead is to scam people. It's either be a scam artist or get nothing at all, or even worse, be screwed by everybody else scamming you. The problem with this is that while scamming may get some results occasionally, it costs you your self-respect and self-esteem as a man. Scamming is what a guy does when he's looking for a quick fix for life's problems, and quick fixes never work in the long term. How does a guy feel about himself after trying some lame pickup line or routine on a woman and having her throw her drink in his face? How does a guy feel about himself when he spends $50 on pheromone cologne and it has no effect on women? Often guys with a scam orientation think that it's almost a duty to take as much as they can from people. If you give them an inch, they try to take a mile. If they can get a mile, they go for even more. If you are like this, women you try to scam on will sense it and avoid you. Businesses you try to scam will catch you. Scams are hard on your self-respect. Even when they work, they reinforce the idea that you have to scam to get by in life, and that has a psychological cost. Men are famous for confusing kindness for blindness. Just because a woman is nice doesn't mean she won't hit back if you try to scam on her. The belief that you can or should take people for all you can get ultimately does not work with women or for getting the life you want. If you want something from someone, you've got to make an effort to build a mutually beneficial connection. You must create positive, flirting conversations that give women good feelings and make them want to see you again. What's really needed is to get out of the entire scam orientation. A seducer who isn't a scam artist understands that paying the price is what it's all about. Such a man just wants to know what the price is. He isn't trying to pull a fast one. This shows up with women in learning how to make a real, human, romantic connection, even if your goal is a short-term sexual relationship. Benjamin Franklin once said, if rascals knew the pleasure of virtue, they would become virtuous out of sheer rascality. When you work the fundamentals and build connections with people, what Franklin might call being virtuous, you really can get what you want. Not asking for the number or stepping up. The seduction. Seize opportunities when they are in front of you. Opportunities are there for one reason, for you to take them. Yes, it's true. If you fail to take opportunities, life will not end, and you shouldn't beat yourself up. At the same time, the world of talking to women is all about creating bigger and bigger openings to risk taking things to the next level. Perhaps you want to talk to a woman and you risk talking to her. The next risk is asking her out. Push yourself to take the next risk. Push yourself to go for it. When an opportunity shows up, go for it, rather than regret not going for it later. Only trying one approach or experimenting with one technique or niche. If you use only one technique in this book, you will fail. Successful seduction is built on a foundation of experimentation. You never know with any degree of certainty what will eventually work. You need to experiment with online dating, meeting women in bars, trying many different niches, and constantly being on the lookout for new places to find women. You must try a variety of different approaches, letting your anger and frustration at women come through in your communication. It can be very frustrating to be out in the world risking and talking to women. It can be stressful, scary, and downright aggravating. It's very frustrating to walk down the street and see so many hot women and feel like you have no shot with them. It's frustrating to see other men have the success you want. The solution is to create spaces where you can let out your frustration, spaces where there are no women around. If you are a guy who gets frustrated easily, and many of us do, you need to find outlets for that frustration. If you come across as an angry man to women, they will not only be turned off by you, they will most likely find you intimidating and want to avoid you. You need to understand your frustration enough to see when it's coming out with women. Now, if you are a nice guy, you may come across as arrogant and mean. Here's how you can come across as angry to women: seeming snotty, seeming judgmental, seeming dismissive, seeming like you are lecturing people, saying things that seem like roundabout ways of telling people to shut up, joking around in ways that seem condescending or patronizing, being sarcastic in ways that seem mean. This does not mean you have to walk on eggshells around women and act like you are Mr. Happy all the time. It means you act respectfully and do not come across as a mean guy. Solutions. Be authentic. We've already talked about being self-expressed and having character. Women want a man who is interesting and interested. You need to find your edge, the parts of yourself that are unique. Women want a man with passion and energy. Look at how you can express yourself with women and show your character. Have fun. Fun attracts more fun. Depression attracts more depression. Fear attracts more fear. Women want to be around fun men. One reason comedians get women, even though many comedians are not particularly attractive, is because they are fun to be around. Women find men who make them laugh or are fun to be around sexy and exciting. In other words, potential lovers. For many women, playfulness, fun, and sexiness are linked. Have fun and make every interaction fun for both of you. Give up how it has to look. When you're dealing with women, you need to give up your ideas of how a conversation or interaction should look. You never know what will happen. Maybe you end up talking to a woman at a concert and you get her number but don't bring her home. Maybe a woman seems really into you but never calls you back. Maybe she's only interested in you as friend and not a lover. You will not find this out unless you give up your preconceived notions of how it should look and find out what really is there. You have no clue what the relationship will look like. And since you cannot control the interaction or her interest level, all you can do is show up and go with the flow. By going with the flow, we don't mean being totally passive and not trying to move things into a more seductive realm. You should take risks to make things as seductive as possible. But if you are too focused on getting a number, email address, or having an interaction look a particular way, you will miss the direction she wants things to go. You will miss the cues she's giving you and openings to take the interaction deeper. It's a paradox. At one point, you need to give up any attachment and any focus on what things need to look like. At the other, you need to try to push things into more romantic spaces. Be cognizant of both of these approaches and do your best to stay in between both. Cut off communication and avoid people and situations that make you uncomfortable. Sometimes you need to cut a date short and leave. A man who has self-respect does not stay in situations where he feels condescended to, obligated to pay for things that don't feel right, or offended or otherwise made uncomfortable by a woman. Once again, we're not talking about being rude or mean, but sometimes dates are not going well and even feel really bad. We're giving you permission to leave these situations and go somewhere else. You do not need to subject yourself to women and situations that feel bad. You will likely end up talking to and dating women who you're not into being around. In those situations, the best tactic is to leave when there's an opportunity to do so. Stay in communication with friends and buddies. One of the best ways to increase your skills with women is to have a buddy you can talk to about how your seduction experiments are going. A buddy is good because you can call him for support, bounce ideas off of him. Having someone you can talk to about women on a regular basis is very helpful in staying motivated, pushing yourself, and overcoming trouble. You will also learn a lot about yourself by being a buddy to another man and helping him date women. Focus on your goals and keep your word to yourself about approaching and saying hi to women. You need to come up with a seduction plan. This means you have goals, both short and long term. This means you come up with a strategy to practice talking to women. Perhaps you commit to saying hi to 10 women per day, practicing the romantic moves a few times per week, and having at least 2 deepening conversations, all of which you will learn later in this book. Whatever your goals are, you need to push yourself to keep your word. Unsuccessful seducers don't take their promises seriously and blow off accomplishing their goals. Successful seducers keep their word no matter what. If they promise to talk to a certain number of women each day or week, they do it. Make it into a game. Talking to women is a game. Yes, there are emotional components to dealing with women. Yes, it feels like your ego is on the line oftentimes, but it's only a game. It's not real. It's not a matter of life and death. There are no real consequences. So how can you shift the focus from being serious and heavy to having fun and enjoying the game? You can start tracking your progress, doing things just for the hell of it, checking things out, knowing it's not that serious, and creating your own rules. Dance in the conversation. Have you had the experience where you were talking to someone and time just seemed to stand still, and the next thing you knew, hours had passed? In those moments, you were in the flow, you were dancing in the conversation. You were open and free and just really synced up with the other person. So how do you replicate that experience? There is no clear path to doing it every day or at will. Just be open to dancing in a conversation today. The goal is to have fluidity in your communication. Have self-respect. The problem with damaging your self-respect to pursue a woman is that it is self-reinforcing. The more you betray your own self-respect and grovel to a woman, the more likely you are to betray yourself again the next time. To make matters worse, when you violate your self-respect with a woman, it arouses her contempt for you, and she will treat you even worse. If you stay around for that, she'll hurt you even more. You'll be left wondering why you, such a nice, understanding guy, are caught up with a woman who treats you so badly. It will all be because you sold your self-respect for sex, which is a bad deal and almost never actually gets you the girl. This doesn't mean you should be mean to a woman, go crazy, or do anything else that would damage your self-respect. You just have to decide where the line is and live with it intelligently. Be experimental. You never know what will work for you until you try it. Part of being experimental is trying new things. Be open to trying new things rather than dismissing them beforehand. Being experimental means you realize that you need to go through a bunch of interactions before one works, so you might as well try a bunch of stuff in the meantime. Perhaps you check out speed dating or you answer a personal ad just to check it out. Maybe you check out a new place where you might meet women or a yoga class. Anything out of the norm. The most successful seducers are always trying out new things, coming up with new approaches, checking out new social opportunities, and experimenting with new approaches. Trust your gut. You need to start trusting yourself when you interact with women. We say that when you're attracted to a woman and feel some spark between the two of you, trust that. Trust your intuition with women. Trust your gut when dealing with women in all phases of seduction. When a situation doesn't feel right, get out of it. If you meet a woman and something about the interaction feels off, trust that feeling. Trust yourself. Add urgency. One of the differences between successful and unsuccessful seducers is that successful ones have urgency in their seductions. Successful seducers have a gutsy quality about their lives where they play full out and realize that this could be their one and only opportunity to seduce a particular woman. Urgency means you go for it. You move quickly and deliberately. You act swiftly and cut to the chase. You go for it. You jump in. You bypass the doubts and the excuses and just do it. This is not a practice life. This is the real thing. Adding urgency means you ask her out, you approach her, rather than worry about it. You ask for her number. You make the call rather than procrastinate. You get out and practice. You add a little more do-or-die quality to your life with women. The rules of women. We've noticed that many of our students are frustrated because they expect women to act the way men do and to be motivated in the same way men are. To help correct this, we've put together this list of the rules of women. These rules are generalizations. You will, of course, find women who are exceptions to all of them. Don't worry about it. The bottom line is your interactions with women will go more easily if you act as though these rules are true. Women are not screwed up men. Women are not just screwed up or illogical men. They are women. If you relate to women as if they were just screwed up men, you'll always be trying to make women act the way you wish they would act. That is, the way you would act. Women have a different integrity from men. While men are more likely to have integrity to their word, women are more likely to have integrity to their feelings. This means that if a woman's feelings tell her to do something that is contrary to what she said she'd do, such as showing up for a date, she's likely to do what her feelings tell her to rather than to follow her commitment. Another way to say this is to say that women are, on the whole, more committed to doing what their emotions tell them than they are to keeping their word. Don't let this drive you crazy. It's not bad, just different from the way you are. Women want to be free to change their minds. Women want to be able to change their minds as much as they want, whenever they want, for whatever reason they want or for no reason at all. This may seem crazy or illogical to you, but remember, she's following her feelings, not her verbal commitments. Women use hints and innuendos to tell you what they want. When you interact with women, don't expect them to be direct with you about what they want. Once again, this isn't being screwed up. It's just a difference in the ways men and women do things. This means that when you ask women what they want, you should provide a menu of options rather than expecting them to generate ideas. Women want life to be an unending date. Women want things to be romantic. In some ways, they prefer an emotional roller coaster to a smooth ride. Another way to say this is to say that women have a wide emotional range and want to express it fully. Women can be surprisingly mean. Many men who've gone through a divorce have found out how surprisingly mean women can be. In some ways, this is because women are more invested in the concept of fairness than men are. While you don't expect life to be fair and don't think about it much, the women in your life very well might. So if you feel shafted, you might not do much about it. But if a woman feels shafted, often she feels it's only fair for her to even the score and take revenge. Women want what they want when they want it because they want it. Asking a woman why she wants something, or even worse, why she doesn't, is always a mistake. She wants it because she wants it, which, when you think about it, is basically true for you too. Give her the space to want what she wants when she wants it, because she wants it, and don't let it drive you crazy if it doesn't make sense to you. Conclusion. If you are really going to effectively use the tools in this book, you have to have a sense of how to handle the inner game of talking to women, as well as the skill-based outer game of talking to them. You have to be able to handle the challenges provided by your own issues with women and your own fears. In this chapter, you have started that process. In the next chapter, you'll learn how to handle fear of rejection and panic. Once you have those handled, you'll be in a great place for beginning to talk to women. Chapter 4. Handling fear of rejection and panic around women. By this point, you may have started the HIGH program. If you have, how is it going interrupting women by saying hi to them? Is it hard or easy? Are you taking opportunities or not? Are you starting to see that there are a lot of women around you all the time whom you usually tune out and ignore? Are you seeing opportunities and purposely not taking them? Or are you one of those guys who says, well, saying hi to women is going to be really easy. In fact, it's so easy that I'll put it off till tomorrow. Not saying hi and not interrupting women because it's too easy is a fairly standard scam. Just realize that saying hi may be more intimidating than you thought. Accept that fact, stop making excuses, and go and say hi to some women. Interrupting women by saying hi, asking her a question, or using any other method will have at least one certain consequence. Some percentage of the time, you will experience rejection. This probably doesn't come as such a huge shock, does it? You were probably thinking about it before this point. Wait a minute. If I say hi to women and interrupt them, they'll shoot me down. Interrupting women, while it does lead to success, will also inevitably lead to some rejection. It could be painful. The problem with avoiding pain by never interacting with women is that you end up with a life in which you are depressed and lonely and, paradoxically, end up feeling rejected all the time anyway. So it makes sense to learn how to handle rejection so you can minimize or even obliterate the impact it has on you and thus interact more freely with women. This chapter will give you concrete actions and steps you can take to deal with rejection powerfully. This tool for handling rejection is simple, but it has dramatically changed our lives. Being able to handle rejection is the oil that lubricates our system for talking to women. You must learn how to use it. Learning to talk to and seduce women is a process, and each step of that process you risk rejection. When you interrupt women and say hi, you risk rejection. When you flirt with women, you risk rejection. When you conduct romantic conversations, you risk rejection. When you ask for a woman's phone number and email address, you risk rejection. When you ask a woman for a priming date, you risk rejection. When you go on a priming date, you risk rejection. When you go for a first kiss, you risk rejection. When you go for more, you risk rejection. Every step of the way you are risking rejection with women. To make matters worse, as you learn how to talk to women, you are likely to be rejected at every step in the process at one time or another. When you first start interrupting and saying hi to women, you are likely to feel stopped by the women who reject your interruptions. In time, you will get through that and get into conversations with women. You will try the flirting moves. Sometimes they'll work, other times they'll be rejected. Get through that and start showing your romantic interest and conducting romantic conversations. Sometimes you'll experience rejection there too. At every step, getting her number, asking her out, going for that first kiss, all of it, you will sometimes experience rejection. Knowing how to handle it and how to keep moving forward, even in the face of fear of rejection, is critical. Because seduction is a numbers game, you'll want to move through a lot of women to get to the eventual yeses that you want. You'll want to move through those no's, those rejections, as quickly and efficiently as you can while keeping your spirits high. Since we developed this tool, we've been able to laugh in the face of rejection, at least some of the time, deal with it, and move on without it being a big problem, almost all of the time. You must be able to do this too. We make a lot of appearances on radio and TV call-in shows, and we receive email from a lot of men. The number one question we get is, how do I handle rejection? Here's how you can do it the way that top seducers do. Successful and unsuccessful ways of handling rejection. Let's compare how men who consistently fail with women handle rejection with how rejection is handled by men who succeed with women. There's a fundamental difference. First, let's take a look at how guys who fail with women handle rejection and the fear of rejection. When Bob the bad seducer is rejected by a woman, the first thing he does is make that woman into his one and only hope of ever having sex again. He does this by idealizing her. She was so pretty, and I never get to meet women like her. She had the whole package: great body, awesome tits, brains, a successful career. She really could have been the one. The second thing Bob does is decide that her rejection of him is his fault. He'll tell himself, she rejected me because I'm so ugly and I'm stupid. What makes me think I'd be attractive to a woman like her? Anyway, I'm not attractive. All I am is a piece of shit. I know that. Plus, what I said to her was incredibly stupid. I really handled it wrong. I really freaked her out. I should just crawl back into my hole and die. I'll never succeed with women. Why do I always have such bad luck with women? I suck. But wait, there's more. After eviscerating himself in step 2, Bob, and unsuccessful seducers like him, takes another key step toward using this rejection to keep himself from ever taking a risk with a woman again. He wallows in the pain of it. That's right. After making the woman into the perfect woman, and making the rejection completely his own fault, and coming up with an explanation for the rejection that is as painful as he can devise, brilliant Bob dwells in that pain. He replays the experience of being rejected over and over, giving himself a new dose of emotional pain every time he relives it. He imagines the look on her face when she rejected him and thinks how upset she must have been. He tells himself that she no doubt convened a meeting of all of her friends just to talk about the trauma that Bob put her through. He imagines that his reputation, such as it was, is ruined. He tells himself that now everyone will know he was trying to be a seducer, and it's all because he bungled things so badly. And then Bob wonders why it takes him 4 months to get up the nerve to approach another woman, and why talking to women is so incredibly hard. Sure, this is an extreme example, but the weird thing is that it's not all that unusual. We've known many men who do this, and worse, to themselves on a regular basis. Heck, we even used to be such guys. If either of us asked a woman out and she said no, or if either of us tried to kiss a woman and she said, "Oh, I only like you as a friend," we'd go into the whole "I suck, she was so pretty" routine. We'd make her our one and only hope, then say, "If only I were more attractive or luckier or smarter or richer or whatever." Then we'd dwell in the pain for days and use that failure to make it even harder to approach women again. Just the other day, we talked to a guy who had this problem. He told us about how he went ballroom dancing a month ago and a woman there rejected him. This was a month ago, and he was still recreating the pain of it over and over on a daily basis. He can't even approach other women because he's too busy reliving the pain of that one rejection. You've probably done this too. People naturally think that they need to know they can survive whatever life might throw at them. So in order to be safe, when a woman rejects a man, part of him wants to make that rejection as bad as possible so that he knows he can survive it no matter how bad it gets. People catastrophize rejection and make it much worse than it is to see if they can make it through. You are probably doing the same thing when you try to make sure you can survive the worst possible explanation about why a woman may have rejected you. Catastrophizing probably comes naturally to human beings. Think about it. Which of our ancestors were more likely to survive? The ones who never worried about anything, or the ones who worried constantly about things that could go wrong, and who made sure they were ready for any bad thing that might come along? Obviously, the ancestors who worried about possible future problems had an edge on those who never worried. The same principle does not hold true when it comes to rejection. Those who put themselves through the pain of rejection over and over don't have an edge on the men who don't think about rejection. It's unnecessary, and it doesn't help the slightest bit in getting you what you want with women. It's like Mark Twain said, "I've suffered many horrible misfortunes, most of which never happened." You don't need to have a life of horrible misfortunes that never happened. Just because you can make something bad emotionally doesn't mean that you should. You are not obliged to do so just to prove that you can survive it. Knowing this will help a lot in the area of rejection. One of the main reasons that talking to women is so difficult for most men is that they've created so much emotional pain, thanks to their way of handling rejection, that when they think about risking with women, they can only feel all that pain. Once you're able to reverse that process and have experiences of being rejected that aren't upsetting, it will be much easier to initiate more with women and to have more success. Now let's look at rejection through the eyes of a successful seducer. When a successful seducer like Bruce encounters rejection, he also follows a three-step process, albeit a different one from Bob's. When Bruce encounters rejection, the first thing he does is remind himself that dating is a numbers game and that in no way is this woman his one and only hope. Statistically, whatever you do with a woman is probably going to fail anyway, because that's just life. He says this to himself, "Great, that's one more. No, I don't have to hear on my way to an inevitable yes." Second, Bruce comes up with an explanation of her rejection that does not make it his fault. Specifically, he creates an explanation for the rejection that is because of her, not because of him. He may say to himself, "She must be a lesbian," or "She must be ill," or maybe "Her dog just died." It doesn't matter what it is as long as it's something that his brain can latch onto that isn't catastrophic. And that doesn't involve him. Let's spend a few moments talking about this step because it is so important and so hard for a lot of the men we work with. Just because an explanation is horribly negative and painful doesn't mean you are required by law to believe it. The truth is, you have no clue why she rejected you. Maybe she was in a hurry. Maybe her cat died. Maybe she doesn't speak English. You don't know, and it doesn't serve you to believe the worst possible explanation. Make up something positive. It really is just as likely to be true as some horrible explanation that's all about you. Guys so often think that they are all-knowing and omnipotent, but the truth is you are not the center of a woman's universe. She is the center of her universe. The reasons why she does things are more likely to be about her than about you, but it's incredibly common for a guy to think that a woman's world is about him. He'll tell himself, "I know why she didn't say hi back. She could tell that I'm a bad guy, that I just want to get in her pants and I'm only interested in sex." Meanwhile, the guy isn't important enough to the woman for her to spend her processing cycles on all these details about him. She's just trying to make it through the day. She has incredible cramps. Her feet hurt. She's mad at her boss or whatever. Believe it or not, the woman who rejected you does have a life outside of you. And that life is much more likely to be the reason that she rejected you than is her ability and inclination to see into your soul and divine what a scummy guy you are. She's just not that interested in you. She has problems of her own. David, I'm thinking about a time a few years ago when I thought I was rejected by a woman. I said hi to her and made some other remark, and she just totally blew me off. She ignored me completely and walked away. I was left thinking that I must have done something wrong. I felt like a trashy, worthless bum. I mentioned this incident to a friend of hers who asked me, "Were you on her left?" I said, "Yes, I was." He said, "Well, she's very hard of hearing in general and can't hear in her left ear at all. I always make sure to be on her right when I'm talking to her." It turned out she hadn't heard me. The rejection had nothing to do with me at all. I thought, why didn't I come up with that explanation? You must not make this mistake. You must come up with an explanation for the rejection that is not about you. Let's say that again. You must come up with an explanation that is not about you. Make it her problem. Make it a problem with the environment. It doesn't matter. Just make it a problem that has nothing to do with you. Imagine you said hi to the woman at the grocery store. She didn't say hi back. What are some explanations that have nothing to do with you? She just got stabbed with a pencil in her leg. She's suffering from amnesia. She just got out of the hospital. She's been here since 5 a.m. and is exhausted. She's having her period. It doesn't matter. Come up with some explanation. One that works really well is, oh, I guess she's just really in her own world. Usually it's true. Usually women are just caught up in their own world. After all, everyone is. Now to the third and final step. After Bruce reminds himself that dating is a numbers game and that she wasn't his one and only hope, and after he comes up with an explanation for her behavior that has nothing to do with him, he redirects his focus towards something empowering. Once again, you are not required by law to dwell in your suffering and experience the pain of rejection over and over again just because you can. Smart seducers think about something else, anything else. Pick up a newspaper, listen to the radio, go watch TV, go on a walk, go flirt with another woman. Do something, but do it instantaneously and let yourself get into doing it. The longer you wait, the more likely it is you will dwell in your pain. You've got to keep moving. One great attention redirecting question is, what do I want to do right now? Often this question will help refocus the energy of the rejection into some activity that is useful to you. One man we know was flirting online with a woman whom he had previously had sex with and whom he was hoping to get into bed with again. At one point in their instant message conversation, she started telling him about this new guy she had met and about how he had come over for a night of hot sex the evening before. Naturally, he felt rejected, so first he reminded himself that dating is a numbers game and that this woman was not his one and only hope. Second, he made the rejection her problem by explaining to himself that she was a very unstable alcoholic, which was true, and was probably drunk right then. Third, he redirected his attention by asking himself, what do I want to do right now? He realized that he wanted to stop talking to this woman and answer some personals ads. So that's what he did. He was able to use the energy of the rejection to advance his whole seduction system. And it worked. He stopped thinking about the rejection and got into thinking about new opportunities with women. The important thing is that you redirect your attention to something specific. It's not enough to tell yourself, don't think about the rejection, without putting some other activity into its place. You need to think about something specific or you'll just end up thinking about the rejection you aren't supposed to be thinking about. Find something else to focus on. You probably know a guy who does all this automatically. He seems impervious to rejection. When you're at a bar with him, you notice that nothing stops him. After he's rejected by a woman, he'll say to you, "Oh well, she threw a drink in my face. I guess I'm on to the next one. Ha ha ha." You probably wondered how he did it. Well, this is how. He remembers it's a numbers game and that the rejection was just one more no he didn't have to hear again on his way to the inevitable yes. He makes the rejection her problem and then redirects his attention by moving on to the next woman or anything else. Thus, he eventually succeeds. Remember that you have to do all three steps. You can't just do the one you like the best. Let's go over these three steps one more time and then give you some more examples. Remind yourself that dating is a numbers game and that this woman was not your one and only hope for sex. Remember that this is one more no on the way to the inevitable yes. Create an explanation for the rejection that has nothing to do with you. Make it a problem with her or a problem with the environment, but not a problem with you. Redirect your attention. Find something else to think about or do. Ask yourself, what do I want to do right now? To give yourself ideas for things you can use the energy from the rejection to do. Examples. Now let's look at some examples of Ron and David coaching each other as each pretends to have some trouble with this process. David, so what happened? Ron, I was eating lunch and I went up to this woman behind the counter who was really hot. I said, "Hi, my name is Ron. How are you doing?" And she just turned away and she didn't talk to me. She just went and did something else. David, did you tell yourself that it's a numbers game? Ron, right, I could have done that. I could say to myself, hey, dating is a numbers game. It's not like there aren't 20 women in this place right now. I got upset because this one didn't work out. I don't need to do that. Also, that's just one more rejection I don't have to experience again on the way to the inevitable yes. David, what was the first thing that you did? Did you blame yourself or what? Ron, I thought, well, geez, she's so hot. Why isn't she talking to me? I must have blown it in some way. Did I say the wrong thing? Am I a jerk? What happened? David, so there's a way in which you blamed yourself and made the reason for the rejection about you. What are some of the reasons why she might have totally blown you off that have nothing to do with you? Just generate some of those, Ron. Well, obviously she was working, so perhaps she had some work to do. That might have been one possibility. Or perhaps she was in a hurry, or maybe she's not supposed to talk to customers. Or she may not have felt very good. It was the afternoon, maybe she was tired. Or perhaps she was just in her own world. David, great. How about the third step, which is redirecting your attention? Did you find yourself just naturally going over it again and again in your head? Ron, yeah, I did at first. So I decided to change my focus instantaneously, to read the paper, eat a bagel, to do whatever there was to put my attention on. I interrupted the bad feeling as quickly as possible. Do you get what we're talking about here? This really is about learning a mental move. This is not just something theoretical. This is something actual that can dramatically change your life. Now let's watch Ron coach David through the rejection process. Ron, so tell me what happened. David, I went on a date with this girl. She was real pretty. I really liked her. We had another date planned, but she sent me an email saying she's still really in love with her ex-boyfriend and she's gone back to him and they are living together again and she doesn't want to go out with me after all. She said she hoped we could still be friends. Oh, nothing cruel about that, eh? So first of all, what was the first thing that you did? David, I thought, God, that was such a pretty girl, and we went on that date, and the date went so well, and she had so much cleavage, and I loved her hair, and there really aren't that many women who really are that pretty. Ron, So you started beating up on yourself. David: Yeah, like she was that one and only hope. Ron: So you failed to remember that it's a numbers game. What about the next step? What happened next? David: I could have said, of course, statistically, that's going to happen a certain amount of time. That's the kind of thing that happens in seducing. That's one more no I don't have to hear on the way to, yes, I got pretty far with her. Let's see who's next. Ron: What did you make it mean? What was your interpretation? Why did she send you this email? David: Well, that's because she couldn't even bear to see my face. I'm so hideous that I drove her back to her ex-boyfriend. I knew this would happen. This always happens to me. Why does this sort of thing always happen to me? Why don't women like me? I'm just not lovable. I'll never have the girl I want. All I can have is fat women. I suck. Ron: Okay, everybody is feeling sick now. Now change the interpretation. What would be some other reasons why she did that? David: Well, she's really mixed up right now. Maybe she is really in love with her ex-boyfriend. That doesn't have anything to do with